Good evening, everyone. So happy that you're here. And good evening, Zoomers. Happy to see some faces I haven't seen for a little while. Hi, Clyde. Everybody say hi, Clyde. Hi. Clyde is back from his big trip to Asia. So he doesn't know if it's day or night. It's nighttime, Clyde. Um, So let's all just kind of move our bodies a little, give yourself a stretch, maybe look around and smile. You guys can kind of wave at each other. So good to see you. Nice. So tonight, tonight we're going to finish our 4 weeks series on the threefold training of the eightfold path. So already I've mentioned 2 numbers. And that's kind of how it is. So I really don't want, I'm not gonna hit you with a bunch of numbers, which is nice. I have the 2 steps of the path that don't really have a lot of numbers to them. But I really want us to try to understand the only thing the Buddha taught, our suffering and its end. So a translation that I'm seeing more and more besides stress for dukkha is just dissatisfaction. So kind of inherent in our lives is this like kind of existential unease, this sense of it's not enough, it's not right, it's not the way my life is unfolding isn't quite satisfying. So there's dissatisfaction. There's something wrong. And so that's all the Buddha taught, that and its end. And this teaching is called the Four Noble Truths. So the first 3 of those truths talk about dissatisfaction, the cause, the prognosis. Well, it's likened to a medical diagnosis. So there's the symptom, there's dissatisfaction or stress, or there's the cause. So it's craving, wanting things to be the way we want them to be. The prognosis is we can be cured. There's a cure. And the 4th truth is the treatment. It's the prescription, and it's the eightfold path. So the 4th noble truth is the eightfold path. And the eightfold path, it's broken into 3 sections. I like to think of it as kind of like a symphony. So there's the wisdom section that we're going to talk a lot about tonight. There's the mind training section, and there's the conduct or virtue section. And so they play beautifully together, and they play together. So I want you to have kind of a sense of your own dissatisfaction and suffering and stress before we move on. So if you would like to close your eyes and think about what stresses you out. And I'll just give you some areas, maybe health, maybe disappointment in certain things of your life, maybe politics or the future of the earth. Anyway, I'll leave you now to what stresses you out. Let's take a nice deep breath. And I already knew that you guys are aware of your stress because you wouldn't be here. because we come to meditation to learn some strategies to find some peace. So how about all of the above? Anybody have that? That's what I have. It's like, oh yeah, that. Okay. So we know, that this is really all that the Buddha addressed. So of the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha, they all trace back to the Four Noble Truths, which the Four Noble Truths is inherent in the Eightfold Path. So the creation of this system, it's circular. So my charge is to look at the wisdom piece section. And so it's right view and right intention. Some people call it skillful view or wise view. I'm just going to stick kind of with the standard. The second is right intention, often called right thinking. But they both, so they're actually step 1 and 2 on the path. So why am I doing the last of the 4 weeks and I'm doing the first 2 steps? You might be scratching your head on that. What's up with that? So we really begin with the wisdom section and end with it because it's likened to a map. We really need a map we need to understand, remember, right view, right understanding. We need to understand reality. We understand truth in order to go the right way. So if we're looking for happiness in the wrong place, it's going to be wrong view. It's going to be wrong understanding. So, and right intention is also points us in the right direction for living our lives every day. So let's start again with right view. Two parts to it, comma. So every moment we're planting seeds. We're either planting wholesome seeds or unwholesome. When we're planting unwholesome seeds, who here plants unwholesome seeds? Every single one of us, all the time, a lot of the time. So we didn't do anything wrong, but like I.S. Sudama calls it the boomerang effect. It's really helpful to throw out there what you want to receive back, because that's really, in a nutshell, what we're talking about here. So the more awareness we can have, the more we train our minds, the more we train in awareness, in knowing, the more we can know what we're planting, know what seeds that we're planting. The second part of right understanding, right view, is the Four Noble Truths. So like I said, the prognosis, the symptom, cause, prognosis, and the Noble Eightfold Path. So the path unfolds in our lives. It gradually unfolds. So as we understand the Four Noble Truths and right intention, which is three intentions. It's letting go. So what's the cause of suffering? Grasping, craving. What's the first intention? Letting go. Letting go of the ways that we suffer. Letting go of the causes of our suffering. The next two of this, there's just 3 parts to intention, and that is non-harming and goodwill, likened to compassion and metta. So we want, because we suffer, because we have stress, because we have this malaise of dissatisfaction, we really need to bring compassion to each other, to ourselves, and metta, goodwill. It's like feeding the wolf. We have the Native American story of 2 wolves in us. the wolf of goodness and the wolf of hurt. And we want to constantly feed that wolf of goodness, because when they fight, we want that one to be the strongest. So those are the two, that's the wisdom section. Okay. However, understanding the ways that we suffer is a lifetime, takes a lifetime. And as my teacher always said, the more, so it's the root of suffering is ignorance. We don't see it, She said, the more I am aware of my ignorance, the more ignorant I'm aware, of my ignorance, the happier I am. So the more we can see these ways, these habitual ways that we suffer, actually, the more we can let go and the happier we'll be. So I want to share with you from Bhante G, skillful thinking. This is, so it's the 8 mindful steps to happiness. Thea brought it out last week. Wonderful, wonderful book. Skillful thinking or right intention. It's no mystery that thinking can make us happy or miserable. Let's say you're sitting under a tree one fine spring day. Nothing particular is happening to you, except perhaps the breeze is ruffling your hair. Yet in your mind, you're far away. Maybe you're remembering another spring day several years back when you were feeling terrible. You had just lost your job or failed an exam, or your cat had wandered off. That memory turns into a worry. What if I lose my job again? Why did I ever say such and such to so-and-so? No doubt this or that will happen, and I'll be out on my ear. Now I'm really in for it. How will I pay my bills? One worry brings up another, which brings up yet another. Soon you feel your life is in shambles. But all this while you've been sitting under a tree. Kind of rings a bell, huh? So the second step of the Buddha's path, he says, offers us an escape from this pattern, a way of redirecting our thoughts in positive and helpful directions. When we begin to understand things rightly through mindfulness of the key points of the first step, so the Four Noble Truths and karma, our mind naturally flows into skillful thinking, naturally flows toward compassion and kindness and letting go. So I have a treat for you guys. Anybody grasping when I said that? So as a Dharma, Debbie George, by the way, Dharma leader, I really gave a lot of thought to how can I offer this teaching in a way that is most helpful. And I kept going back to this very helpful talk that I found by Ajahn Amaro, who is the abbot of Amaravati, a monastery in England. And it's just 9 minutes. It's called the Eightfold Path Explained. And it is absolute brilliance, in my opinion. And I'm going to share it with you. Boop, boop, boop. Boop. Okay, let me make sure. I think I can do this. I did practice. Yep. Oh, that was easier. Okay, so please relax. Don't worry. Be happy.
The Noble Eightfold Path is the sort of principal means of putting the Buddha's teaching into action. So his initial teaching that he gave, what's called the turning of the wheel, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, he explained the middle way and the Four Noble Truths. And the Eightfold Path is the core of the Fourth Noble Truth. So the Four Noble Truths, it's a kind of medical diagnosis. So number one, the symptom is dukkha, is dissatisfaction, unsatisfactoriness. That's the spiritual malaise. That's we are not totally happy all of the time. So that's the symptom. Then the cause, is the second noble truth, is self-centered craving, tanha. Various kinds of craving for sense pleasure, a craving to be, craving to not be. There's three kinds of craving. That's the cause of that dissatisfaction. Then the third noble truth is the prognosis. Is it curable? Yes. Dukkha nirodha, that dukkha, that dissatisfaction can come to an end. And then the fourth noble truth is the treatment. And it's cast into this sort of medical diagnostic form. And maybe the Buddhist historians and Buddhologists in the mix can come up with a definitive answer one day. Some people say the Buddha produced this, and then the Ayurvedic system of, or the ancient Indian system of medical diagnosis and analysis arose from the Buddha's structure, and other people say, no, the Buddha used an already existent medical form as a way of expressing his teaching. So which one came first, chicken or egg, is debatable. But the Eightfold Path then is the treatment. So that is what you do to get from truth number two, the cause of suffering, to truth number three, the ending of suffering. And so the Eightfold Path can be summarized into three sections: that of virtue, that of mind training, and that of wisdom. The traditional structure of the Eightfold Path, the first two elements are samadhi, right view, and samma sankappa, right intention or right resolution. So those are both part of the wisdom aspect, and so they are in a way setting the direction for the mind, right view, and also with the word right comes from the Pali word sama. It doesn't mean right as opposed to wrong so much as right as in upright or balanced. So probably the word attuned is more helpful. It's related to the term sama, which is used to describe the strings of a veena or a musical instrument being in harmony with each other. So that quality of attunement, so attuned view, attuned intention. So right view, right intention are the first two. So it starts off with some of the wisdom factors, then it goes to the conduct factors, so then right speech, right action, right livelihoods. And so those are to do with what we say, how we relate to other living beings, how we relate to the world, how we relate to our body and the material existence that we are a part of. And then livelihood, sama jiva, is the what work do you do, both as a layperson and as a monastic? You know, how do you relate to the world of work? And so those are the sila, or the conduct factors. And then the mind training, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Those are the three factors that are to do with meditation and how we work with the mind in particular in order to bring about a quality of peace and freedom through working with the mind. So right effort, right mindfulness, sama vayama, sama sati, and then sama samadhi. Those are the last three. And I mean, we could talk for a week about the nature of the Eightfold Path and how those elements work together. But essentially, it's virtue, concentration, wisdom, or virtue, mind training, and wisdom are the three parts of it. And in terms of how that relates to our life in the world, then it's all of it. How do we work together? Like the three of us in this room at this moment. How do we communicate with each other? What is the work that you're doing? What's my work as a monk and my role in this monastery? How do I do that? Do I do it well? Do I not? What are the factors that are involved? So the Eightfold Path and see the aspects of living skillfully in terms of conduct, and then and our work, and then how we train the mind towards clarity, towards peacefulness, towards brightness, and then wisdom. How do we develop the quality of understanding and say the vision of reality in terms of seeing in terms of dharma or dhamma rather than in terms of self-view. That's completely unified with how to function in the world. So whether you're working in a bank or you're working for the Alex Berzin archives, or you're working in a monastery, whatever we happen to be doing, we are working through the medium of our mind. We are communicating with other beings, with other people. We are having to make choices about what we do, what we don't do. We are confronted with ethical issues about what to do, what not to do, how to relate to the people around us. How do we meet with success? How do we meet with failure? How do we meet with praise? How do we meet with criticism? We haven't got time for it here. We're going into the various details of, okay, when we say samadhi, right view, or attuned view, how does that relate to how do you see your family or your workplace or the life on, driving on the road? Sankappa, right intention or right resolution. It's about decision making. How do we make decisions? How do we, say, use the capacity to intend and direct our life, our mind, as being something that is of benefit to other beings, that is beneficial and liberating and not harmful or divisive, destructive. So, and then so forth with the other factors that you can spell out the detail of how each one of those works. Right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Each one you can go into detail about exactly how that would work if you're in a bank or you're driving a bus or you're working in an archive or running a website or running a monastery. And so we don't have the time and situation to go into that, but I would say it's totally relevant. One interesting teaching that we find in the Pali scriptures, one particular sutta where the Buddha says is right view, right effort, and right mindfulness, those three, they circle around and they're a kind of guiding force for all the factors together. So right view, seeing how things work, and seeing and that's seeing being in accordance with reality, with Dhamma, and then effort, the way the energy is directed, what you do and how you do it, and right mindfulness, that full scale attunement to the time and place, the situation. Those three kind of circle around and protect and guide all of the factors of the path and integrate them. So that I feel is extremely relevant. So whether it's to do with family life or the working life or your physical health or political issues and so forth, those three, right view, right effort, right mindfulness, that they have a particular prominence in everybody's life, I would say, and they can be extremely useful in guiding how we work, what we do, and how we do it.